You're being completely selfish, Emma. My mother's voice thundered through the house like a gavel slamming down. Your sister has a dream, and you're just hoarding your money like some greedy miser. I stood stiffly in the kitchen, my hands gripping the edge of the counter to keep myself grounded as the people I called family circled me like a pack. My name is Emma Mitchell. I'm 28 years old, and today I was being cast as the villain for refusing to drain my hard-earned savings to bankroll my younger sister Olivia's latest guaranteed success business plan. It's not like that, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, though my heart raced. I worked hard for that money. I have my own plans for it. Plans. Olivia laughed, tossing her glossy hair as her perfectly manicured fingers sliced the air in frustration. You mean your dull little research job? Come on, Emma. This is a real shot, a luxury spa downtown. Do you have any idea how many celebrities I could attract? My father, usually the silent observer in our family debates, stepped forward with a solemn nod. Emma, come on. Be reasonable. Your sister has vision. She's always been the entrepreneur in the family. You're steady. You're the dependable one. You can always save more later. Steady. Stable. Those words struck like sharp stones. In our family, they were gentle insults, polite ways of saying boring or unimaginative. I'd heard them my entire life, ever since Olivia was selling high school makeovers out of our garage, and I was buried in textbooks preparing for the science fair. I've saved $127,000, I said softly, and Olivia wanted every cent. It's not a handout, it's an investment, she insisted. You be a partner. For once in your life, try thinking bigger, Emma. I thought of the sacrifices behind that number. Years of living in a cramped apartment, working full-time while pushing through graduate school, taking extra research contracts on weekends, skipping vacations, meticulously budgeting every dollar. Meanwhile, Olivia had drifted from one failed business to another like a leaf on the wind, the fashion boutique that folded in 6 months, the juice bar that didn't last a season, the influencer agency that never got off the ground. And each time, my parents wrote the checks. Sure, this would be her big break. No, I said, my voice firm now. I'm sorry, but I'm not doing it. Chaos erupted. How can you be so heartless? My mother cried. After everything we've done for you, my father added. I knew you were jealous of me, Olivia hissed. But this is low even for you. I looked at each of them, really looked. My mother, who had always pressured me to be more like Olivia. My father, who never once asked about my latest research but proudly attended every one of Olivia's failed shop openings. And Olivia, beautiful, charming Olivia, who had never held a real job, yet always managed to get exactly what she wanted. I'm not jealous, I said, my voice calm and even. I'm finished. I turned and walked out of the kitchen, ignoring the shouts behind me. In my childhood bedroom, I pulled out the overnight bag I had packed days ago. I had sensed this confrontation coming the moment Olivia started hinting about a big opportunity. I knew the pattern. I knew what was expected. Emma Grace Mitchell, don't you dare walk out that door, my mother shrieked from downstairs as I headed toward the staircase. I paused on the last step and turned to face them one last time. You know what's funny? I said. None of you ever once asked what my plans were for that money. Because your plans probably involve more test tubes and textbooks, Olivia said with a scornful smile. Some of us want to actually achieve something. I gave her a small smile. But for the first time, I didn't feel pain. I felt pity. Goodbye, I said and walked out the door. Behind me, I could hear my mother's exaggerated sobs, my father's heavy sighs of disappointment, and Olivia's angry rants. But as I climbed into my car and pulled away from the house I'd grown up in, a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying began to lift. What they didn't know was that while Olivia was busy planning her celebrity spa, I'd been working on something of my own. My research had recently caught the attention of a renowned marine biology institute in California. They'd offered me a position, leading a groundbreaking conservation initiative, protecting endangered marine species along the Pacific coast. The job was everything I had dreamed of, fulfilling, well-paid, respected. Best of all, it was 3,000 miles away from my family's judgment and expectations. As I drove toward the airport, my phone buzzed again and again, calls, texts, voicemails filled with outrage and guilt-tripping. I powered it off. They could wait until tomorrow. Tonight, I had a flight to catch, and a new life to begin. As I drove toward the airport, a quiet satisfaction settled over me. I pictured the shock on Olivia's face when she realized her usual tricks, tears, tantrums, and emotional blackmail weren't working this time. I wasn't bending. I wasn't giving in. For once, I had chosen myself over her dreams. The California Institute had already set up an apartment for me just minutes from the shore. By this time tomorrow, I'd be waking up to a brand new chapter, one that belonged to me. Let them call me selfish. Let them call me boring. I was finished being the family's personal bank account. Finished being the dependable one they only remembered when their hands were outstretched. I kept my phone turned off as I boarded the flight. Whatever messages they were frantically leaving could wait. Right now, the ocean was calling. And for the first time in my life, I was ready to answer. 3 months swept by in a beautiful blur of salt-sprayed mornings, long days on research boats, and the most satisfying work I had ever known. My coastal apartment had a balcony view of the Pacific, where each morning I woke to the sound of crashing waves and seabirds, not shouting, guilt, or demands. That first month, my phone overflowed with messages. My mother's voicemail swung wildly from tearful accusations. "How could you abandon us like this?" to guilt-laden pleas. "Your father's blood pressure is sky high because of what you did." Olivia bombarded me too, flipping between fury. "You've ruined everything." And manipulation. "Just give me half." Okay, even 25%. I let every single call go to voicemail. My days were consumed by fieldwork that thrilled me. We had discovered a new species of seahorse, and my research was already turning heads across the scientific world. My team respected my leadership, welcomed my ideas, and not once did anyone call me dull or overly practical. Then the breakthrough came. I was deep in data analysis when Dr. Martinez, the Institute's director, burst into my office, practically glowing with excitement. In her hands was a glossy magazine mock-up. "Emma," she beamed. "Have you seen this? National..." That evening, as the sun dipped beneath the waterline and the sky turned soft orange, I sat on my balcony, legs curled beneath me, watching the waves roll in. My phone buzzed. For the first time in months, I picked it up. It was my father's number. I hesitated, then answered. "Emma," his voice was smaller than I remembered. Hesitant. "We saw the preview. The magazine article online." "I know," I replied, keeping my tone even. "Why didn't you tell us about the research job? The institute? Everything you've been doing?" "Because," I said calmly, "you never asked. You were too busy accusing me of being selfish for not bankrolling Olivia's spa." There was a long pause. "The spa never happened," he admitted. "The building she wanted had major structural problems. It would have been a total failure, just like the boutique, and the juice bar, and the influencer agency." Another beat of silence. "Your mother wants to talk to you," he said softly. I heard the phone shuffle. "Emma, sweetheart," came my mother's voice, uncertain and cracked. "We saw your picture on the Institute's website. You look happy." "I am happy, Mom," I said. "This is exactly where I'm meant to be." "But you never said anything." "I tried," I replied. "So many times. But every time I opened my mouth, you and Dad were busy fawning over Olivia's latest idea." There was a sharp breath on the other end. We didn't realize." "No, you didn't." I looked out at the ocean, already fading into dusk. "And now I have to go. I've got an early morning. We're tracking a new seahorse pod." "Wait, Emma," she pleaded. "Your sister. She's struggling since you left. Nothing's working out. Maybe if you talk to her." "No, I cut in. I'm not her fallback plan anymore. I have my own path now." I hung up. For a long time, I sat in silence, watching the tide shift under the moonlight. Memories drifted in, of me trying to share my love of marine biology and then brushing it aside. Skipping my science fair for Olivia's recital. Barely glancing at my graduation, while they rushed off to help Olivia open her boutique. Another buzz. A new message. From Olivia. "Saw your dumb fish article. Must be great playing with seahorses while your sister is drowning. Real nice, hey ma. Real nice." I smirked. Typed back. "Actually, it is nice. Really nice." Then I blocked her. The next morning, standing on deck as the first rays of sun broke over the horizon, I felt peace. The wind was crisp, the sea shimmering gold, and Dr. Martinez joined me at the railing. "By the way," she said casually, sipping her coffee, "your sister called the front office. Wanted to know if we had any openings. Claimed she had a lot of experience running businesses." I couldn't help but laugh. "What did you tell her?" "I told her our team is fully staffed with certified marine biologists." "How'd she take that?" "She didn't," Dr. Martinez replied with a chuckle. "Not well at all." The ocean glistened around us, calm and endless. Somewhere beneath the waves, our seahorses swam, unaware they were at the heart of groundbreaking research. My research. My story. "Oh, and one more thing," Dr. Martinez added. "When we hired you, we listed your family as your emergency contact. Do you want to update that?" I didn't answer immediately. I thought about every emergency they had caused, or made worse. "Yes," I said, with a certainty I felt deep in my bones. "I'd like that." As the vessel pushed forward into another day of discovery, I felt the last heavy thread of family obligation fall away. I hadn't just moved to California. I hadn't just found a job. I had found myself, and no amount of guilt, drama, or desperation could take that from me. My mother's words echoed in the back of my mind one final time. "You look so happy." She was right. I was, for once, Olivia had been right about something. I was happy. I was thriving. And not in spite of ignoring their pleas, but because I finally had. The seahorses were waiting. And this time, no guilt, no expectations, and no family drama would pull me away from what truly mattered. 6 months after the National Geographic feature, I stood in my office at the Institute, staring at my phone in disbelief. 8 voicemails, all from my family. After months of silence, after I'd blocked Olivia and removed them as my emergency contact, they had suddenly reappeared. The reason was clear. The first episode of the documentary about our seahorse research had aired the night before. Apparently, seeing their unremarkable daughter speak passionately and confidently about marine conservation on national television had shaken something loose back home. I pressed play on the first message. "Emma, darling," my mother cooed. "You were spectacular. Why didn't you tell us you were going to be on television?" The Hendersons next door saw it and immediately called to congratulate us. The second was my father's voice, oddly warm. "Princess, we had no idea your work was so impactful. The dean from your university called me at the country club, said we must be bursting with pride." The rest followed a similar pattern. Distant relatives who had ignored me for years now suddenly fascinated by my career, calling it important, impressive, even glamorous. But the final voicemail made me pause. It was Olivia, calling from an unfamiliar number. Her voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Unsure, almost hesitant. "Hey, I saw the show last night. You looked good. Confident. Listen, I've been thinking, maybe we should talk. I've got this new concept for an eco-conscious beauty brand. And with your science background, we could." I deleted the message before she could finish. Outside my window, I could see the research team loading equipment onto the vessel for today's mission. We were about to study a newly observed breeding behavior in our seahorse population, work that could significantly shift how marine conservation is approached worldwide. A knock on my door. Dr. Martinez poked her head in, grinning from ear to ear. "Ready for another day of stardom?" The documentary crew just arrived. I laughed, grabbing my gear. "As long as they don't scare away our stars." As we walked toward the dock, she handed me a sealed envelope. "Speaking of stardom," she said, "the International Marine Biology Conference wants you as this year's keynote speaker. All expenses paid, and the honorarium makes your sister's spa budget look like loose change." I opened the envelope and blinked at the numbers inside. This is unbelievable," I said softly. "You earned it, Emma. Your work is transforming the field," she said with pride. Then, smirking, she added, "Though I'm sure your family will be disappointed to learn you're using the honorarium to Darling, we're thinking of coming to visit. Olivia has some great new ideas she'd love to share with you. Your father thinks your recent exposure could be a huge help for her brand." Some things never changed. But I typed a short reply. "Sorry, can't host visitors. Launching our new global conservation initiative. Catch episode 2 next week." Then I silenced my phone and stepped onto the research vessel. The documentary crew was already setting up. My team was prepping their diving equipment. Today, we'd be documenting the thriving seahorse population, now 3 times the size since we'd implemented my protection protocols. Dr. Mitchell, the producer called out, camera already rolling. Could you explain to the audience what drew you to marine biology? I paused, eyes drifting toward the waves. I thought about every time I tried to share this passion with my family, how they'd brushed it off, ignored it, ridiculed it, how they'd always asked me to be more like Olivia. I looked into the lens and answered honestly. I learned early that the most extraordinary things in life aren't always flashy. Sometimes the true wonders are quiet, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for someone patient enough, steady enough to find them. The producer gave me a thumbs up. That's perfect. As we set out across the water, golden light spilling across the waves, I reflected on just how far I'd come. No flashy spa, no trendy businesses, no shortcuts to notoriety, just years of effort, purpose, and the bravery to leave behind a family that never really saw me. The daughter they once called plain had made headlines, not by chasing someone else's dream, but by remaining true to her own. From across the deck, one of my researchers called out, we'd found the pod. I leaned over the railing and spotted a small seahorse drifting near the surface, its tiny fins propelling it calmly through the current. It didn't need bright colors or attention-seeking flair to be magnificent. It simply existed, doing what it was meant to do. Like me. That evening, as the film crew packed up and the sun disappeared into the horizon, Dr. Martinez joined me on the dock with a tablet. We've got a rough cut of today's footage, she said, handing it over. I watched in silence. There I was, leading the team, analyzing samples, diving into the kelp forests, doing work that mattered. No drama, no schemes, no emotional landmines. Just science, just passion, just me. My phone lit up with several missed calls. I didn't even glance at them, because my real family was here, with my research team, in this institute that respected my vision, and in the quiet world beneath the surface, where being steady wasn't a flaw, it was a strength. Tomorrow, we would dive again. The seahorses were waiting. And now, the whole world could finally see just how beautiful they truly were. Including me. The steady daughter had found her light, not by chasing it, but by earning it.